In the African savannas, an early human bent over river stones, chipping edges with focus. He wasn't the strongest, nor the fastest, but he was different. Intelligence flickered like fire. With one sharp tool, survival tilted in his favor. Forever changing destiny. Homo habilis learned to read the land, tracks, seeds, shell middens by dried pools. Small bands moved carefully, sharing finds. The mind that noticed patterns, remembered seasons, and taught the young began writing humanity's first unwritten manual: observe, adapt, repeat. Hands shaped ideas into edges. A rounded cobble became a knife, a broken flake, a scraper. Each spark of insight traveled mouth to mouth, gesture to gesture, until tools were more than objects, they were memory, carried between generations. With tools came courage. Scavenged carcasses were no longer out of reach. Marrow, rich with energy, unlocked longer journeys. The brain, hungry for fuel, grew greedy for knowledge. While the savannah whispered new puzzles every dawn. Danger surrounded them, cats in tall grass, crocodiles near water, sudden storms. But small bodies learned big strategies: keep watch, move light, share tools, stay curious. The first blueprint of human resilience formed like tracks after rain. Language was not words yet, but rhythm and sign, grunts, points, taps, meaning pooled in shared attention. A lifted hand stopped the group. A clicking tongue said danger. A nod meant yes. Culture began as a choreography of survival. Night was a test. Without fire, stars did the guiding and fear drew borders. Yet they endured, mapping constellations to paths, cliff shapes to shelters. Memory stitched the darkness into a usable map. Homo habilis left more than bones. They left a habit, solved the next small problem. Edge by edge, day by day, they carved a staircase that later humans would climb without ever seeing the first steps. Humans opened their eyes to a world already lived in. We carried songs, stories, and a fire that could travel. Our genius wasn't strength, it was connection. Threading minds across distance until tribes became cultures. Art blossomed where danger did. Hands on cave walls, animals leaping through torchlight. Paint fixed memory in stone, and stone answered back, hunt here, beware there, remember us. Knowledge could finally outlive the body. We crossed deserts and ice with plans, not luck. Calendars in the sky, wayfinding by wind and wave. Migration wasn't escape, it was design. Mapping food, seasons, and stars into a single moving strategy. Tools refined into families, blades, burins, needles. Clothing turned winter into challenge, not catastrophe. We wove warmth and stitched identity, wrapping our children in technology as softly as fur. Rituals grew roots. We buried our dead with care, ochre, beads, farewell fires. Loss became meaning. Meaning built communities. Communities built safety. Grief, shared, became architecture. Hunters became engineers. Drives, blinds, pit traps. The landscape turned into a quiet machine. Cooperation scaled up from kin to clan. Timed like drumbeats before a stampede. We met other humans and did not always fight. Bloodlines braided. A borrowed gene here, a shared tool there. Hybrids carried maps in their bodies, adaptations with directions. Homo sapiens prospered by remembering together. Stories were our first libraries. Elders are living archives. When storms erased trails, the tale restored them. That is how we survived, by keeping each other's knowledge alive. On Flores Island, tiny humans walked big stories, barely a meter tall. They hunted small game and survived isolation. Size didn't limit them. Island rules rewrote bodies, crafting specialists for a narrow, demanding world. In Liangbua Cave, bones whispered an alternate humanity. A small skull, a unique wrist, anatomy that refused our expectations. Evolution had more verses than our textbooks sang. Legends speak of forest dwarfs stealing food and echoing laughter. Myth may not be evidence, but it is persistence, an insistence that memory of neighbors never fully faded. Tools were simple, but purpose was clear. Edges tuned to island prey, routes braided between limestone and river. Knowledge fit the terrain like a key fits a lock. Firelight fluttered against cave ceilings, turning stone into sky. Stories scaled to their world, smaller bodies, larger caution. They mastered limits like artists work within frames. Isolation guarded and endangered them. Without rivals, they thrived. Without allies, they vanished. A balance so precise that one storm, one change, could tilt everything. Even now, stories of Abu-Gogo linger. Science asks for bones. Culture offers footprints in memory. Between them lies possibility, that echoes sometimes belong to real voices. Homo Floresiensis reminds us, evolution experiments bravely. Humanity is not one shape, but a gallery of solutions. On islands, in caves, in whispers, other ways of being human once stood beside us. In Luzon's mountains, bones with unexpected teeth surfaced. Their molars told a story that didn't fit neat branches. Another secret lineage had waited in the dark for our light to find it. Small-bodied, agile, perhaps climbing like ghosts through limestone forests. Their world was vertical, roots, vines, precipices. Survival meant balance as much as strength. Island time runs differently. Isolation edits bodies, culture trims excess, and every tool must justify its weight. Luzonensis seems written by that demanding editor. Local tales speak softly of shadow people, seen, then gone. Folklore isn't proof, but it points like a weather vane, hinting where to search when wind changes. Teeth, toes, proportions, each detail argues for difference. Humanity's tree doesn't split cleanly. It braids and frays, making paths we only notice when bones correct our maps. The cave kept its promises, cool, dry, guarded by darkness. Caves are libraries. Their shelves are sediments. Their books are bones. We learn to read them. Did they meet others, us, or hobbits, or strangers now vanished? Islands are crossroads disguised as prisons. Trade can happen in glances. Gifts in small migrations. Homo luzonensis stands as a whisper with edges. Not a rumor. Not yet a saga, something between. Asking us to keep looking into the green-lit mouths of mountains. Deep in a labyrinth of stone, bodies were placed with intention. Small brains, big mysteries. Homo Naledi challenged our easy equation between size and wisdom. The route was brutal, narrow squeezes, blind turns, yet remains gathered in one dark room. If this was deliberate, then ritual flickered in that darkness long before we expected it. Hands worked stone, feet held ancient stories, and faces wore expressions familiar as kin. Distance collapses when eyes meet across thousands of years. If they tended their dead, then they tended meaning. A group becomes a culture the moment memory receives ceremony. The chamber guarded silence like treasure. Even whispers felt heavy. Science proceeded like a ritual, measure, note, compare, repeat. Naledi reminds us, human isn't a single recipe. Intelligence can be quiet, practical, ceremonial. Brains are instruments. Minds are music. Could others like them still hide in uncharted caverns? Caves are stubborn, maps break against them. Darkness still owns more ground than light. In the end, we found ourselves, curious, methodical, reverent, reflected in their choices. Naledi's lesson is simple, meaning came early. Say, caveman and minds picture grunts and clubs. Reality, engineers of the Ice Age. They mapped migrations, managed fire, and tuned stone like instruments. The myth underestimates. The evidence applauds. Caves were seasonal offices, not permanent prisons. People cycled between valleys and shelters, following herds like calendars on hooves. Fire was technology and treaty, warmth, light, safety, and social glue. Around flames, plans hardened, tools improved, and stories rehearsed tomorrow. Hunts were choreography, drives, decoys, ambushes. Success measured in calories and time. Failure taught quickly. Knowledge moved faster than winter. Art wasn't decoration, it was data. Species, movement, wounds, seasons. Painted walls became dashboards, updating with each generation. Medicine meant observation. Herbal smokes, bone splints, rest rituals. Survival wasn't luck, it was protocol refined by pain. Childhood carried apprenticeships. Tiny hands learned edges, fibers, tracks. Play rehearsed survival until competence felt like a game. Call them cavemen if you must, but speak it respectfully. They kept humanity alive when the climate tried to close the book. We are their sequel. In a Siberian cave, a single tooth rewrote ancestry. Denisovans, known more by genes than bones, stepped from shadows into our family portrait, surprising everyone with familiar eyes. Their legacy hides in blood, oxygen, and mountain lungs. High-altitude adaptations travel today in people living where air is thin. A quiet inheritance from meetings long forgotten. We know so little, Yet what we know is profound. Small evidence, huge consequences, a reminder that history can be massive even when artifacts are tiny. Legends of mountain giants breathe beside data. Folklore points up valley. Science follows carefully. Where stories and samples agree, mystery upgrades to possibility. Trade, conflict, kinship, whatever happened, it left signatures inside us. Hybrids walked away carrying survival tools we can't see but still use. Denisovans prove that absence of bones isn't absence of people. Genomes are archives too, stamped with dates, places, and surprises. Could distant valleys still hold unstudied shelters, silent about their former tenants? The world remains undersurveyed. The past is patient. In the end, Denisovans expand the definition of us. Family means variation, overlap, and echoes. The more we learn, the less lonely our origins feel.